Do you want to roll some dice and knock out or knock in some goblin teeth?
No, I've never thought of that, but continue talking anyway.
Too bad. We're playing Emerald Skulls. Okay, so we have a game today by Thunderworks Games, which made Stone Spine Architects and Role Player.
Cartographers, this whole universe they've invented. They invented all these magical creatures called like goblins.
Yes.
Dragons and stuff.
Yes. And dice.
Yeah, that was something I'd never heard of before. No. So, yeah, this is another one of those games like in the Role Player universe.
Exactly. And this is a totally different dice rolling, push your luck style game. So before we get too far in the weeds about it, let's quickly show you how it's played. Okay, we are set up for a game of Emerald Skulls here. Emerald Skulls is a push your luck dice rolling game. So I'm going to quickly go over the rules on this. I'm not going to go into all the details again, but this is pretty much to show you how it plays. We're set up for 4 players here. You're going to have a finite number of tokens here that are the victory points. And whenever you run out of this, that is when the game is over. So first off, how does it happen? Well, nicely, you have got, everyone's going to get a different player aid here. And it's got a play sequence on one side, and then it goes into all the out reference right on the back. So the outs are the one thing that gets confusing with this game, but really it's a fairly straightforward game. But first off, you're going to buy dice. You've originally got 3 dice, just like this, to roll, but if you have these points over here, you can spend 1 to make it 4, 3 to 5, and you can buy more dice this way. Then next is tumble, and that's when you're going to, you first allow bets, and then you're going to roll. Meaning allow bets means everyone's going to take their betting marker, which are right here. Say it's the green player's turn. Everyone can then place their bets wherever they want to as you're about ready to roll the dice. All right? So let's go to the roll the dice first off. So you're going to notice here the skull has different positions you can place dice. 1 could be here, 2, 3. Then right here you've got 4, and then you've got 5. All right? And then on the other side is a skull. A skull is wild. It can be placed anywhere. As you start placing dice, you can only go higher than where you are. You'll notice an infinity symbol here means you can place unlimited dice on the lower jaw, upper jaw, and the nose here. So you can place several on there. And you're also going to see the benefits that you're going to get as the tumbler, the person rolling the dice, along each side, depending on how you go out. So first off, that's pretty simple. You're going to roll just like this. I've got nothing there. Look at that. So I will put that on a 3. Now, at this point, I can stop. Okay? I can stop, and if I stop, that's called chickening out. That means right here. I have chickened out. Now, if I chicken out now, I look down, and what do I get? I get one of these reroll cubes. So I would take that, and that is, as a tumbler, that is all I get. However, if I decide to keep going, take a look. Right there, that's a 5. Place that. There we go. So I have gotten a 5. And then, at the end, I would gem out, meaning I put this on the gem. So I am going to get 3 of these victory points here, and I will also get a reroll cube. All right? So that's what I would do. Take those, and it's the next person's turn. Now, while I'm doing that, everybody else, here's where the interesting part comes into this. Everybody else, as you're about to roll the dice, are going to go ahead and throw it down here. They're going to say, I think he's going to gem out. Oh, I think he's going to run out. I think somebody else thinks he's going to double out, just like that. So say you've got everything here, and then you roll. Obviously, I'm not going to double out here. But say you have spent the 10 points here, and you're going to go ahead and roll the full 7. All right, so here we go. We roll. Look at that. Now that is what I'm talking about. So we're going to go here, 1. And you can only place it on a single roll or single row, just like that. There we go. Roll again. Oh, 2. Just like that. Place the 2. Keep going. And while this is happening, while you're rolling, everybody keep placing out different areas here. So you're going to keep going, and then eventually you might go all the way up. All right, so then whenever you stop, either you bust out. So let me show you this real quick. Chicken out means you're going to stop. You're not going to go ahead and roll anymore. Gem out means you've got it just right up here. You run out, meaning you have no more dice to roll. And then this is called a double out, meaning you have run out and you have gemmed out. Okay? So that makes a difference down here in what they bet. It also makes a difference in how much you score. Because if you run out and gem out, which is double out right here, this is the amount you're going to score. You're going to score 5 for everything you have the gem, 5 for the eyes, and all that. All right? And you're going to notice over here, if you just run out, then any wilds are not going to score for you. Same with chicken out. Chicken out, the wilds are not going to score for you. All right, so that's how the tumbler is going to go ahead and get victory points here. And the victory points are pretty much they're the gear tokens over here. So, all right, so let's go to the betting here. First off, you're going to see there are the different amounts here. First person to bet here, so say it's just like this. Say I do bust out or chicken out, or the tumbler does. Well, the person on the bottom is going to get 5 gears, and the next person is going to get 3. All right, same with Jim out here. Bottom is going to get 2 and 1. That shows how they go up, and that's how you cash out. Up here are different things. These are going to be run out with only teeth, meaning the person has only gotten to the 1 or 2. All right, so again, that's going to pay out from the bottom up. And then here, that's a big one, Emerald Skull. That's 30 right here. These right here, by the way, we'll go to that in a moment. This right here is what pays out, okay? So that is, you're going to pay 10 for the bottom. Now, what is double out with full skull? That means you get everything, all right? And then you gem out and run out. Now, instead of taking the standard payout, which is right here, you can take the jackpot payout, which say is over here. Say you did get a double out with full skull. Instead of taking these, I would take that 30 gears, just like this. Or instead of just getting the run out with teeth only, well, I'll take 3 times each of those, the 1 and the 2. That might be more. So instead of taking this, I have the option to take that as the tumbler. So you can kind of get more if you kind of go with this. For example, I did get this one time, which is nice. If everything on here is the wild, then that's going to be a lot better to get 5 times that, especially if you've used like 6 or 7 dice and they all happen to be wilds. Okay, so pretty much that's it. You're going to keep rolling. The tumbler's going to take their money. Then the bettor's going to take their rewards or whatever and go to the next person as a tumbler. And you can keep going around and around until you run out of gears, run out of victory points. And then you're going to call it. One other thing is I will mention is these are, I mentioned before, reroll cubes. They're really nice to kind of collect those so you can kind of shoot the moon and go for all the way to the end if you have like a good stack of reroll cubes right there. One other thing I'll go into is, I'm not going into details on these, but there are more advanced modes you can do. These are fairly simple. You start off with these, but later it gets a bit more complicated, just like this. You have Jim out with only skulls here, double out with full skull, and just like this, but then you have different conditions everywhere. So you have a lot of different things to add as you want to get more and more complicated. There's also more of a solo mode and different things in the box as well. But pretty much that is a quick and dirty about how you play Emerald Skull. So let's send it back in to see what we thought about it. Okay, so one thing I did not go in the overview is I did not mention the whole pick your nose mechanic.
It's the weirdest one to explain. It's a reroll mechanism.
Right.
That allows you to take the 3 off of the board. One of the 3s off of the board.
Which are on the nose.
Which is the nose. And I think everyone that I've taught this to has said, did they put this mechanism in the game just so that they could use the pun, pick your nose?
Yes, and I think that you can only do it up to twice because as the tumbler or whatever, you only
got 2 nostrils, right? Left and right. You're done.
So weird that Chris is pushing the theme, and I'm just saying you put your betting token out there. But Chris is like, I need a theme, 1 per nostril. So pretty much you take a dice, you can put your betting token, and that's how many times you can pick your nose and re-roll that 3. So didn't mention that because I don't really do it that often. But
you can admit it. We're in a safe space.
Good point. Yeah, I'm not a big nose picker. But all right. So first off, this game, from that, it sounds like it's a very silly, light game.
I think that it's aiming for that, right?
Yes.
With this kind of, if the dice are hot, dice are in a hand, ooh, people are going to bet all over the place and stuff.
Right.
You only have 2 betting tokens, so people tend to kind of, like, they watch someone slam one down, and then everyone just goes, okay.
Right, I know, and that's why I think this plays better at higher player counts. I think several things. Number one, I think at smaller player counts it does not play well at all. The full complement, I think it gets chaotic. You also need the right group. If the group does not like this type of almost real time.
Yeah, quasi real time. It is real time. When the dice are hot, you know, anyone can slam down bets wherever they like.
Right, and it's just, and the timing's odd because you, as they roll the dice, when you're throwing those down, and it's very quick. But you mentioned like placing the bets, but then like it's better to hold off, especially in those later parts of the game, because they may try to get the full skull.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, now I remember what the full skull is.
Right, get everything up there. Right. Or I also saw what I think is interesting about this too is if you're going for, there's one point, I think I was playing with you, and I'm going for like wilds just happen to happen, and then you're like, oh wow, so let's just bet on this all wilds. And I saw, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go for that. Because that jackpot makes it interesting too. Mm-hmm. Instead of filling out, if I can just get wilds and I've already banked a lot of those rerolls, strategy-wise, you can do that.
Yeah, I appreciate what they're going for, where you when it's your turn to be the tumbler, the dice chucker, you get to see how people are betting. You roll the dice, and then you get to make the choices where you assign things. I appreciate that the game is player-driven in that sense of a bunch of people bet, or the person who's in the lead bet that I was going to go for the oops, all wilds all over the board.
Right.
You, in theory, could just be like, no, I'm going to do something different. Ha ha ha. Just so you for sure don't get that payout. I just don't know if the game succeeds at that feeling that much, because ultimately, if you're like 5 out of 6 skulls in, you're just going to keep going for that path, right?
Yeah.
So there's the two sides of the game. There's being the tumbler, and then there's being the many other players, the betters. I think betting is okay in this game. I don't get that much thrill from it, but I feel like I should be getting a little bit more.
Right, and I see. So you prefer like just being the tumbler, the die roller?
Almost.
Almost.
I don't know. The thing is, like, both parts of this game feel competent, but I'm never terribly excited. Because if you want to roll more than 3 dice, you have to pay victory points for it.
Yes. Which is always worth it to me, because rolling a lot of dice is what I always wanted to do with my life. You know, it's like, it makes it so much more fun. And then
I'll introduce you to a little place called Vegas.
Okay, not for that much money. But you're right. And you have a point with the 2 betting tokens, because once you place them, you can't touch them, and you're like, okay, I guess I'm waiting this one out.
Yeah, and so just you want to have that feeling of placing them out early, and then hoping that the dice roller doesn't just make a complete left turn. You're like, oh, whoops. But that feeling of holding on too long, if everyone's holding on, then there's not the excitement, the exciting moments of it. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's a balance there. And then I feel like for the amount of rules that there are for the person, the tumbler, the dice chucker, the actual push your luck game that I'm playing on my turn is fine. I think it's well made, but maybe not as exciting as I was hoping, right? I don't feel a lot of danger per se.
Yeah, that's a good way. It's almost like, it feels like it's almost there, you know, because you are having that excitement. And it really is, I say everything is group dependent. This is very group dependent, because you will know in the first couple rolls of if you're going to like this or if you're going to make it miserable for everyone else at the table by not liking it that much.
Yeah, and I think so. I think this is going to be one of those immediately divisive games. Within the first round, you can tell who's checked out.
Right, exactly. There's going to set out there, I don't care, you know. So
right. But a table where everyone is invested of this can be pretty fun. And then there's the little moments of jeering and cheering people on, like, oh, you should definitely be going for this thing. Ignore my betting token. But it doesn't have enough of those moments, even at the good tables, for me to want to keep coming back to this one, I think.
Right, and then you go into the advanced rules thinking maybe that'll help it, but honestly, I think those hurt it. I think it overcomplicates what should be a fairly simple game.
And I feel like already the basic rules as is, a lot of people are like, wait, so, oh, got it. Yeah, that's a gem out. No, that's a double out.
Yeah.
Wait, did he empty out? No, he gemmed. No, wait, that was he was a chicken or a bust.
Right, and it's like, okay, so I'm over here. I don't count my wilds. Little things like that. The more you play, you'd realize, but...
Right. Those things go away with familiarity, but I didn't have enough fun with it to want to become over-familiar. And I got it down eventually, but I do think that even people who were playing their second, third game were still getting the terms wrong, betting on the wrong things. So it's like almost a little too complicated for how simple of the stuff that's going on. I think people are going to compare this, and I know I compared it pretty immediately to Ready, Set, Bet.
Right, which is, I can see that because the real-time betting aspect.
Yeah, exactly. And to this game's advantage, in Emerald Skulls, everyone takes turns being the dice rollers. But I'm okay in Ready Set Bet just being the person rolling for the horses, because that's more fun to me, strangely, than taking turns being the dice chucker in this one. And I know not everyone's going to want to compare the game, so we won't belabor the point.
Right.
But I feel like that's going to be a good comparable game. This one does it in a smaller package,
Right.
but I don't think it does it quite as well.
So where do you come down on it then?
Score-wise, like I said, I've had good and I've had not good experiences with the game. So ultimately, I'm coming in at a 6. And I know for sure that other people around who have not wanted to play this game more to give it a fair review, a real and thorough review, would rate this far lower than me, right?
Right.
So a 6 is kind of my experience with it overall. Would I come back to it and play it again? Sure, right? But it needs to be with the right group. It needs to be with people who are going to go into it with the right attitude. It's going to be with people who aren't going to be afraid to trip over the 5 different terminology namings for like how did it end? Did you bust out, double out, those things, right? And so it's dependent on a lot of things. But yeah, that's a 6 for me.
I agree. I'm coming in a bit higher to 6.5 because it's right underneath where I could really recommend it to everybody to try this. But I do think a lot of people will like it because when we played it at the game store, people were really like, you were yelling, you're like, yeah, you got this, all that. It really felt like goblins sitting around playing some very simple dice game that no one has any idea what it is. Okay. It's just a very silly style game at its core. I think it's quick. I think it might be a good end of the night game. I think if you like that style real-time kind of exciting thing, this is a good one in a small package, I think, to give it a try.
Yeah, it has its positives. It has a few trip-ups and everything. But for your game group, you might look at this and say, absolutely, I know that I'm going to love it. A lot of people would rate it higher than us.
Yeah.
A lot of people would rate it lower than us, too.
True.
So I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts, of course, in the comments below.
Yeah, so comment. Let us know what you think about it. But meanwhile, keep rolling dice. That is Emerald Skulls. I'm Joey Evans.
And I'm Chris Yee.
And we'll see you later rolling dice.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us for that video. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hey, make sure you check out what's happening where I'll cover an app on an iOS or a Switch device, and you can check it out along with me. Thanks very much. You've been watching The Dice Tower.